Good morning, Ray McCormick here. In early September, we're getting ready for harvest, but the sun's coming up. We're also working on our native pond here, natural pond, that'll be full of water and rocks and frogs and fish and everything that we can swim in. And then here's our solar panels here below the house that we charge our car and pickup with. And then I got a pollinator garden right here, and our natural pond will all be surrounded by native plants. And then beyond that, down in these fields, is fields where we run the cattle. From up here on the farm, we run our cattle out there. So those beans and that cornfield out there and so forth, they were all used as cover crops to feed cattle over the winter. And we seldom take it off of it. We just let them tromp around out there. And we planted the soybeans and the corn directly into the grazed cover crop. So they had ate it down pretty good, but we just plant real slow and the crops seem to like it. So also the stream that runs through the farm, we have conservation buffers on all sides of all streams that we farm. And that's to buffer the ground against nutrient loss and so forth. But primarily on our farm, they're for wildlife habitat. So there's good pollinator habitat and quail nesting habitat down there. And because our farm is in long-term no-till, when we get these great big rains, the water just infiltrates into the ground. So we really don't need the buffers to keep nutrients out of our stream. So we're pretty proud of the way we farm, and we try to include every aspect of taking care of the environment, being good conservationists, helping out pollinators. And then right over here, we have a duck hunting business. So you see a duck blind that we built and we're training our labs with. So we'll be putting the rest of our duck blinds in pretty soon. And then over against this shed over here, those are not porta potties. Those are blind that we'll be hunting out of up on stands for deer hunting. So we do deer hunting, we do duck hunting, we do no-till, we do pollinator habitat. We do about everything you can do in the outdoors and make money, but also take care of the wildlife and all the resources on our farm. I think it's seeing wildlife. So for instance, this spring in one of our big fields where I went out into, big cover crops that I was planting into, it was the field that got 5 inches of rain. But when I was out there planting, I tried to take video. But another farmer mentioned this at a no-till meeting I was at a couple weeks ago. Swallows were swarming our fields. So as I'm planting down through there, I'm surrounded by swallows picking off bugs all the way around me. So that part of our farm we try to keep pretty friendly. So we use all naked seed. We do not put seed treatments of any kind on our corn. And then sometimes we might put something as a fungicide on the seed if we're planting into cold, wet conditions with soybeans, but we never put neonicotinoids on our farm. We're trying to build insect populations, so all of it's rewarding, but sometimes when you dig down in the ground, you see all these bugs running around. There are good bugs that are helping me out. So all aspects of it's a systems approach. And, sometimes it's said that doing no-till and cover crops and soil health is a journey. So my journey is just as interesting now because you come up against all these challenges. What I find so interesting going to the National No-Till Conference, you have all these personalities of farmers really all over the world, and there's things that are very much common to everyone there, and that's that they're innovative, they are risk takers, and they accept failure as a learning process. So some farmers aren't well adapted to that, and when they're taking on this new system and learning, and this is a brand new system, it's been around for 30 years or something like that. So the biology part of it, we're just on the edge of that frontier. So all of those traits play into this journey and why it makes it so interesting, and so interesting to go to the National No-Till Conference and be surrounded by 1,100 people that are just like you are and share all this information. Isn't it amazing how agriculture and farmers, especially conservation-minded farmers, they want to share all their knowledge to others so they can be successful in conservation. Don't plant before a big, cold, wet rain, except we didn't know we were going to get it. So what we'd done is we delayed and delayed and delayed, and all these farmers were planting late March, early April. The soil conditions were perfect, but cold, wet rain coming, cold, wet rain coming, which is suicide for cover crops and no-till. Well, the cold, wet rain never did come. They got perfect stands. They have beautiful crops. I delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And I said, we've delayed as long as we can. There's a window of opportunity here. And so we planted a lot in early May there, into April and early May. And then we got cold, wet rains. So cold, wet rains are, really damaging in fields in which you got a lot of cover crops and a lot of shading of the ground and so forth. So I learned something there. Also, we're planting 100% clear Highland beans, and we're going to load a barge in February. Well, where we didn't get good stands of beans, where it turned off cold and wet and didn't get perfect stands, then these water hemp could come in. And water hemp is horrible these days all across the corn belt here. And so until we learn how to deal with water hemp, it's getting worse and worse and worse with its tremendous seed production that it has. I think it's going to force people to grow more corn than beans because of this spread of water hemp everywhere in soybeans. Our weed suppression is not successful this year. So planting and not getting perfect stands, having a lot of rain after we put the herbicide on. So we have fields with hardly any water hemp, and we have other fields that has a lot of water hemp. We're not even sure because we were using the same burn down, the same residual. I mean, we put a lot of stuff on those soybeans, and some fields it worked very well, some fields it didn't work very well at all. It's something about, as we were burning down and putting pre-emergent on, they were coming up. And so when the beans could only be sprayed at third trifoliant, the water hemp was already up and going. And when the water hemp's up and going, you're done for. It's hard to stop them with what I'd call conventional chemistry.